did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz, how will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country. And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that. And we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of, you saw that picture that was put out. It's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point.
Just when you think Trump's mental decline couldn't be more obvious, he delivers yet another incoherent word salad that leaves everybody scratching their heads. In this latest public appearance, Trump goes on a bewildering tangent about Alcatraz. And it wasn't just strange, it revealed his complete detachment from both reality and basic economic understanding. Now, it started by Trump saying he was supposed to be a movie maker, then rambles about Alcatraz being the ultimate in law and order before describing it as a big hunk that's just sitting there rusting and rotting. And so somehow, in the span of just 90 seconds, he managed to describe it as simultaneously horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable and weak. That's our president with the best words, describing this prison as both strong and weak at the exact same time. But in terms of the actual reopening of the prison itself, this isn't just bizarre, it is economically illiterate. Alcatraz was closed in 1963 for good reason. It was absurdly expensive to operate. The prison's isolated island location meant that fresh water, food, and supplies all had to be shipped in regularly. The saltwater environment caused rapid deterioration of the buildings, requiring constant maintenance. The cost per prisoner at Alcatraz was 3 times higher than at other federal penitentiaries of the time. It was shut down precisely because it was an inefficient use of taxpayer dollars. But Trump, in his endless quest to appear tough on crime, doesn't care about fiscal responsibility. He doesn't care that reopening Alcatraz would be a massive waste of taxpayer money. He doesn't care that modern prison facilities are designed to be more cost-effective and secure. All he cares about is the symbolic value, the movie version of what Alcatraz represents. And speaking of movies, that is another level that's particularly revealing. Trump started this rant by saying, "I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker." This obsession with spectacle over substance is the perfect encapsulation of Donald Trump's entire approach to governance. He doesn't want to implement effective policy, he wants to create dramatic scenes that look good to his base. He doesn't care if something works, he only cares if it makes for a good story. But let's talk about the real-world impacts that this would have. Alcatraz Island welcomes about 1.5 million visitors annually, generating tens of millions of dollars for the Bay Area economy. It's one of San Francisco's top tourist attractions. Converting it back to a prison would decimate local tourism, costing thousands of jobs and depriving the city of crucial revenue. And speaking of tourism, Trump's already doing enough damage to that sector with his reckless trade war with Canada. Tourism from Canada to the US has plummeted since Trump imposed his tariffs, with Canadian visitors canceling trips and choosing other destinations to go to. The US Travel Association estimates that for every 1% decrease in international visitors, our economy loses $3.3 billion and 23,000 jobs. Trump's policies are already hurting the tourism industry nationwide, and this Alcatraz scheme would only add to the damage. But perhaps the most bizarre aspect of this whole rant is Trump's fixation on the idea that nobody ever escaped from Alcatraz, and this graphic description of shark bites on the clothing of somebody who tried. This obsession with punishment reveals the cruelty at the heart of Donald Trump's worldview. He's not interested in rehabilitation or justice, he is interested in suffering. In his mind, the value of Alcatraz isn't that it reformed criminals or protected society, it's that it was a place of misery that nobody could escape from. Let's be clear, this isn't leadership, it is sadism masquerading as law and order. And it's particularly rich coming from somebody who spent the last several years doing everything in his power to escape accountability for his own actions. From refusing to comply with congressional subpoenas to claiming presidential immunity for his role in the January 6th insurrection, this cognitive dissonance required to be Donald Trump must be truly staggering. In one breath, he wants to reopen Alcatraz because nobody ever escaped and we need law and order, and yet in the next breath, he's arguing that presidents should be immune from prosecution and pardoning his political allies. The message is clear: harsh punishments for thee, complete impunity for me. But beyond the hypocrisy, beyond the economic illiteracy, beyond the damage to tourism, what this rant really exposes is Trump's deteriorating mental state. The rambling, incoherent nature of his speech, the contradictory descriptions, the bizarre tangents, this isn't normal. And it's not just a matter of style or personality, it is a serious question about his fitness for office. I know that it's just baked into the cake that Donald Trump is a lunatic, but let's not try to allow ourselves to accept this insane notion that any of this is normal. But with all of that said, let's talk about what this Alcatraz nonsense is really about. It is a distraction. Donald Trump knows that every minute we spend talking about his bizarre prison fantasies is another minute that we're not talking about the economic catastrophe that he's ushering in. And make no mistake, it is a catastrophe. So while I have you here, let's talk about the real issue that he's trying to distract you from. Because as far as the economy is concerned, the numbers don't lie. The economy contracted in the first quarter, shrinking at an annual rate of 0.3%, the first contraction since the pandemic. The stock market has plummeted, with the S&P 500 down more than 7% since Inauguration Day, and the NASDAQ down a staggering 11%. And all of this while Donald Trump promised an economic golden age just 4 months ago. And who's paying the price? Not Trump and his billionaire friends, it is working class Americans. His tariffs amount to a tax increase of nearly $1,300 per household this year alone. Consumer confidence has fallen for 5 straight months now. Small businesses are struggling with supply chain chaos and unpredictable costs. Donald Trump's trade war has left us isolated on the world stage. This is economic malpractice on a massive scale. So when Trump goes on these bizarre tangents about reopening Alcatraz or complaining about showerhead water pressure or rambling about Sharpies or movie making, it's not just evidence of his cognitive decline, it is a deliberate strategy to change the subject. He wants us talking about anything other than the fact that he has broken every single economic promise he made during the campaign. Remember when he said he would lower costs on day one? Well, it's been over 100 days and costs have only gone up. Remember when he said he would create manufacturing jobs? Manufacturing activity has been contracting. Remember when he said he would make America rich again? Ask yourself, do you feel richer today than you did 4 months ago? The truly insidious part is that even as Trump distracts us with nonsensical rants, his administration is quietly implementing policies that transfer even more wealth to the already wealthy. His budget proposal slashes funding for programs that help working class Americans while preserving tax cuts for the ultra-rich. It is class warfare disguised as economic policy, and these Alcatraz theatrics are designed to keep us from noticing. So the next time Donald Trump goes off on some incomprehensible tangent, remember what he's trying to distract you from. Remember the economic pain his policies are causing real Americans. Remember that while he's fantasizing about reopening a prison museum, millions of Americans are worried about how they'll afford their next grocery bill or rent payment. This isn't leadership, it is a magic trick designed to make you look at his right hand while his left hand picks your pocket.